Hello and welcome back to Coin Lady channel. As was the case with other cryptocurrencies, discussions on Ripple and XRP will occur today. Let's go right in and watch this video to set the mood. About a minute and 42 seconds go by. This is an excerpt from Johnny D and M's Crypto Law podcast. The SEC versus Ripple case is unquestionably the greatest landmark legal ruling in the field of finance. There is a lot of pressure on Judge Torres to make a decision. Given that XRP is most certainly not a security, the answer should be obvious. Also, please watch this video very carefully. This choice is taking on greater significance. Those of you who are contemplating this issue should be taken into account. When will she assume leadership? What? I doubt that Judge Torres has ever been under as much pressure as she is right now. Ripple is telling the judge to take attention to what the judge on Voyager said. Check out what Supreme Court Justice Gorsuch had to say about fair notice. All of these occurrences follow her learning something new. Check out what the CFTC, the SEC, and the banking industry have been up to recently. Many people, including myself, believe she would bring regulatory clarity. You can pick the library while this is happening in the background. Really, you think she doesn't know what's going on? Therefore, the judge is facing the most consequential decision of his or her career. Keep this in mind. What other choice in recent history has had as much impact on global trade and finance as this one has? For the record, I'll say it again, this case is the SEC's most serious non-fraud enforcement action since 1946. That's why there was so much tension there. I can't say that I blame Judge Torres. She should have exercised caution in her language because, for starters, if the verdict goes against Ripple, it will be appealed to a conservative court. And secondly, if Ripple wins, she'll have to justify her decision. In other words, be patient. Have a wonderful evening, and we'll chat again next Monday. We're down to the wire here. The same goes for me. Absolutely. I believe that something much larger is brewing in the background, and that it will ultimately be that first major case, as we start to see more and more headlines involving cryptocurrencies and the lack of regulatory certainty around this entire industry. I think this case is the most significant thus far, even if the SEC is currently considering a case involving Ripple and a library. While this was the first time the SEC and Bitcoin had crossed paths, it was by far the largest instance of its kind. The SEC's gross overreach and subsequent targeting of the whole crypto asset class may be traced back to this occurrence. From this vantage point, we might also see how Warren Davidson replaced Gary Gensler as SEC chairman and reorganized the agency. Gensler has these 7 major problems. When you accept more than 2 new SEC responsibilities per month on average, you are making the most of job opportunities. Regulations imposed on hotels in California are unreasonable and illegal, and the public comment periods are too short. The privilege of contacting the FCC at any time, subject to approval. In addition, new findings keep the market or the FCC in the dark, thereby making them slaves. A fruitless effort to reform the stock exchange. A storage system that made bitcoins illegal to use. Avoid engaging in cooperative efforts with Congress. Yes, I think we have reached the time when Gary Gensler's and the SEC's errors can be exposed. It's been viewed 260,000 times. The Southeastern Conference SEC as an organization is currently receiving a lot of attention, and not just because of Gary Gensler. In the present moment, this topic is highly discussed. The encryption also demonstrates this is what we mean when we say there is no openness or clarity, as the feedback we're receiving from Gary Gensler is, at best, irrelevant. I'm sure all of you have seen this video by now. About 40,000 individuals have checked this out thus far. Keep a sharp eye out. In the neighborhood of $2 billion, sir. How much did you spend on that endeavor, exactly? Capability to affect the financial markets by $2 billion annually and up. Do you think the SEC played a role in FTX demise? To help bring down a number of cryptocurrency-related firms that aren't adhering by US law as established by Congress over the years, we're going to play the role of a harsh cop on the beat. Please be courteous to them. Not what I was hoping to hear. Do you really want to know? I said. Do you think the SEC played a role in FTX demise? Let me be clear, I believe we should pursue those who intentionally deceive the public. Because of this, you're avoiding my inquiry. I just want to ask you a fairly basic question. Does the SEC face any kind of consequences? I get what you're trying to say. I've always had a lot of respect for the SEC and its employees, and that won't change. Conform to my instructions. You're wrong. Inasmuch as you have zero faith in the F. Is the SEC responsible for FTX's demise, or did they just save me some time? When the SEC found out that FTX reportedly lent Alameda Research $4 billion in secret financing, why did it do nothing? Again, I can't comment on specific businesses or investigations. It's great if you just answer my inquiry, that's all I need. You had mentioned before that you didn't expect executives to open up during a Bloomberg conference, so I'll just remind you. In what ways, if any, do you find the comment sections helpful? We gain quite a bit, that's true. After initially saying that you don't value their advice, you change your mind? The responses we receive are quite instructive and account for a considerable portion of our overall contribution. So, you listen to their suggestions. You've said that you don't believe those in the know will give you honest opinions. You either do or you don't. Based on this input, we are always improving. The gentleman has reached his end of life. I'm astounded by your dishonesty. Congratulations. And this is the issue the United States is facing now. To me, the more action, the better. For my part, I think it's imperative that Gary Gensler be let go immediately. We really need this. Gary needs to go right away. You need to leave this place immediately. Because the United States is currently in this situation. This industry is unique in that it cannot be taken overseas. Cryptocurrencies need to be made, recognized, and used honestly. This financial breakthrough is revolutionary in scope. Before there was ever any kind of monetary system, there was cryptocurrency. The potential to incorporate all major industries, forever changing our planet and introducing us to the Internet of Value. However, as long as people like Gary Gensler remain on the hot seat and continue pontificating while others cry furiously at him, we won't see that happen. I get that we have to navigate some legal mines to save these people. However, the issue is that no action is being taken. It's remarkably close to our own government sector experiences. You can't just fire somebody on the spot if they aren't pulling their weight. There are hurdles to jump through and ridiculous tasks to complete. Listen, you'll be fired if you don't do your job. Simply put, I believe Gary Gensler's tenure at the firm has run its course and am perplexed as to why he has not been terminated. A vendor claims an investigation is underway on the crypto-hating SEC chair. Here are some reasons why I can't wait until Gensler is under scrutiny. This is why. Dean recently tweeted that going ahead, people should take into account Gary Gensler's support for Ripple and the XRP token. He argues, among other things, that the crypto sector is vulnerable to attack unless the illegal activities of Chinese CEO are thoroughly scrutinized in the American market. It's plain to see that only a handful of people in this section of the country use the services of Gary Gensler. Those few are, in my opinion, the Wall Street financial elite, and I look forward to the day when an investigation into him is complete and it becomes known. We should expect the SEC to go after Bitcoin startups, according to Brian Costello, while disregarding Chinese crooks. They deny that a Chinese criminal ring cheated the United States out of many billions of dollars. Investors. To add intrigue, Costello stated that Gensler and the SEC are hastening the demise of the dollar by making these decisions and focusing on the cryptocurrency sector. He also mentioned that an FBI agent who was involved in the probe said in an interview last year that he believed there had been serious violations and questioned the SEC about its quiet. Do not forget what I have stated. Is that so? If we spread awareness of cryptocurrency outside American borders, because of their strength and potential, I have no doubt that countries will accept cryptocurrencies and utilize them to compete with the dollar. All $1's worth. To maintain its role as the global reserve currency and ultimately usher in the impending digital revolution, the dollar, in my opinion, requires the support of a cryptocurrency. This must take place. Gary Gensler and the SEC are defending the existing quo and the players on Wall Street, and this is a major concern. They can't perceive that the established order has broken down. Currently, many think this is on purpose. Many folks, in my observation, have been repeatedly exclaiming, "Oh, it's President Biden." I hope you can see that presidents and many other government officials are no more than playing cards with a face value. Why do I say that? They're just faces, after all. The reality is that they are not addressing you. They are having a conversation with someone else. In this game, if you will, there are many puppeteers. The problem is not with Joe Biden or any of that nonsense. Most people choose to overlook the reality of the situation. In my opinion, they intend for the financial system to fail. In my opinion, they also aim to weaken the dollar. All of these things are good. The NWO is built around CBDCs and other financial management technologies. The big reset, if you will. The story is heading in that route, which makes sense given their motivations. I don't want to be all conspiracy theorist on you, but we can probably guess what will happen. Gary Gensler is someone that should be investigated thoroughly on this channel. First and foremost, this person's net worth of over $100 million stands out. While on the board, he did periodically take the helm financially, and he did end up closing a ton of business for Goldman Sachs. But what makes this guy a $100 million investment? In my opinion, that makes zero sense. But it's clear from his backing that he's on the side of the same traditional system he served for so long before he became famous. I said earlier that he worked for Goldman Sachs. What more did he steal, do you think? Working on treasury matters pertaining to Goldman Sachs. Another thing about him is that he used to be the head of the US Commodity Futures Trading Commission. In my view, the established order is the center of all that is. He is standing up for the same people with whom he has worked and to whom he has belonged throughout his professional life. His wealth pre-SEC is estimated to be over $100 million. It's pointless. I think he has to be looked into further. Also, they have no idea what his overall wealth is. The $119 million estimate is purely speculative. In the year 2021, this occurred. My estimation of his wealth at the moment was entirely speculative. To be honest, I'd love to take a peek inside. I think it's imperative to keep an eye on us. Gary Gensler is the subject of a probe. Maybe I'm wrong though. How do you feel about that? Given the recent events, do you think Gary Gensler warrants an investigation? Despite what Crypto One really written, the SEC is a farce. Since courts are supposed to uphold the law, I believe you should take your case there. Jay Clayton had the guts to say what he did about Ripple, and he also had the guts to deny a Bitcoin ETF, unlike the scumbag lawless regulator Gary Gensler. This further illustrates the monopoly that the banking establishment already holds on the SEC leadership. While Jay Clayton was around, he got the job done. He's currently attempting to regulate the Bitcoin market. I can't make heads or tails of this nonsense. While Europeans are trying to figure out how to incorporate Bitcoin into the financial system, the US is actively working to keep it out. Courts should not be used to resolve questions of discrimination. Jay Clayton penned the above. If you've been part of the XRP community for any length of time, you've probably heard of this person. Furthermore, he totally attacked the market the instant he stated, "Oh, Ethereum, Bitcoin, he put me under the bus." During his time at the SEC, he worked with competitors in the XRP field, so you can be sure he's unconcerned with recent breakthroughs in encryption. Both Ethereum and Bitcoin are in the discussion. We are aware of his plans. We have investigated his playing style. While they are doing it, they might as well look into this individual as well. They need to look into the SEC as a whole as well. And now, the response from Mr. Huber. The footage of Jay Clayton was released by him afterwards. Take into account that, because to his lack of knowledge, Jay Clayton is unable to determine whether or not Ethereum is a security. Let's examine Clayton's record of accomplishment as SEC chairman. If the reporters at CNBC are interested, please email them this clip. Anyone should pay close attention. These are safe to use. They can alter their identity while online. I don't know the specifics, but I know that it has happened. Recently, Bill Heinemann elucidated the strategy. To learn the criteria we use to determine if a cryptocurrency should be classified as a security. Bill's speech is posted on our website, and I highly recommend reading it. At the very least, Ether's current state of operation proves the feasibility of a truly decentralized network free of any authoritative middlemen. These are safe to use. Even though they are already doing that, they can make adjustments on Ether. I don't know the specifics, but I know that it has happened. Recently, Bill Heinemann detailed the steps we take to determine if a cryptocurrency is a security. I also urge you to check out Bill's address, which can be found on our website. If we examine the current state of Ether, we can observe that it operates on a rather decentralized network where the pattern terminates. All I ask is that you fully grasp the reality behind the SEC. I've argued that agencies like the SEC should be dismantled because they accomplish nothing. They don't bother spending any time or energy on it. What the hell is happening in the United States? Is a question I ask myself daily. These people need to be able to see clearly in this area. Because of his lack of experience and skills, Gary Gensler should be fired. And he made that abundantly obvious, particularly in these proceedings. Considering his pattern of dodging crucial questions and general lack of candor and clarity, this meeting was actually quite good. Okay, then? That should have been enough for us to say, okay, expel Gary. Because we require action, I believe this will occur. In my opinion, we are making progress towards that end. Things are now beginning to take form. Some activity has now become apparent to us. My only question is how long this will take. Is this really just a joke, or may this have serious consequences for Gary Gensler? If this turns out to be a bunch of hooey, I think I speak for a lot of people when I say we'll be very disappointed. After saying that, I sincerely pray that you enjoyed the video. If you did, then your help is greatly appreciated. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more free material from me. See you later, bye.